Ayo, back at it again with another video. Thank you all for watching. I greatly appreciate it. So this video I've been wanting to dive into a lot deeper. I've had a couple of videos on here on the channel talking about European Union as a whole, maybe how to, enlarge the union, how to move forward, whether it's United States of Europe concept or more like a federation or what have you. But as of this moment, there are ongoing discussions about EU expansion. So the big one is Ukraine, but Ukraine is not the only member of the European community vying for accession to the EU. So Moldova, Georgia, and then also Serbia, Kosovo, Bosnia Herzegovina as well. So we're going to hop over to Google Maps. So Ukraine, Moldova, Georgia, not the U.S. state of Georgia, the Caucasus country of Georgia. So, and then there's also countries of the Western Balkans, the countries of the former Yugoslavia that would also like to join. So Croatia, Slovenia has already joined. Serbia, Kosovo, that situation is always complex because Kosovo declared independence. I think it was 2008, 2009. Serbia does not recognize that. Most of the European Union recognizes Kosovo, with a handful that don't. But a handful that don't have secessionist movements. I think Spain does not recognize Kosovo because there's concern over. I can't quite remember what that is. There's a region in here that wants independence. Anyways, so Serbia, Kosovo, obviously very complicated situation. Recently, there was, Serbian gunmen held up in a monastery in North Kosovo that really exacerbated tensions. So, countries of the Western Balkans would like to join the EU. Ukraine and Moldova obviously want to. Georgia as well. Turkey has been trying to apply to the European Union, but for the past 40 years, but European Union basically told them no. There's mostly disputes over Cyprus. The Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus is only recognized by one country, and that is Turkey. So there's disputes over Cyprus. The Greeks and the Turks obviously don't particularly like each other. The Greeks are in the European Union, the Turks are not. So there's obviously some issues there. I really like this article. On the European Council on Foreign Relations, the geopolitics of EU enlargement. So the debate surrounding potential expansion is no longer really about, just the countries that want to join, but also how, to move forward in the next decade, 2 decades, and beyond, given the very rapidly changing global environment. Discussions. European Union already granted Ukraine candidate status. That was June of 2022. The European Council is expected to vote beginning on formal accession talks on the 15th of December. So that is coming up pretty quickly. So looks like they had dialogue. Looks like Berlin recently. But the European Council will get together on the 15th of December and vote to, next steps on Ukraine, but also about, moving forward on other countries such as the Balkans or Georgia or, Moldova. So obviously one of the issues with Ukraine is there's an ongoing war in the south and in the east. The battle lines about here, I've done, obviously, I've done tons of videos on Ukraine, so I know that the front line is mostly stabilized, but that's not the only issue that's holding up Ukraine from joining. Ukraine's going to need a ton of reform because, Ukraine has had a long history with corruption. That is, an issue that's of concern. So a lot of countries of the Western Balkans, Turkey, I don't see joining anytime soon. Ukraine and Moldova, and then Georgia. So how do you expand into Ukraine? There's been recent disputes between Poland and Ukraine over grain. Obviously, Ukraine is a massive agricultural powerhouse. But given elections in Poland within the past couple of weeks, that tone, about this grain dispute might be changing. Depends on the new government that could potentially form with former Prime Minister Donald Tusk. So disputes between Poland and Ukraine on grain is another issue. So there's a lot, that could, hinder Ukraine's accession to the EU. Because this article from Carnegie Endowment, never in its history has the Union moved to admit a country that was in the midst of a major war and lacked security guarantees from NATO. So Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine has changed the calculus about the costs and benefits to admitting new members. Many have said it was a bridge too far, but ever since the invasion, many are, now in favor of it. France was initially skeptic, but now they are in favor. Again, meeting in December about whether to open talks with them. All signs pointing to yes, but you have to have all 27 members agree, and that's obviously difficult to do when there's various competing interests. The accession process will take years to transform everything. Kiev will have to undertake a long list of reforms. Yep. Also, grain issues and whatnot. So, according to Article 42.7 of the EU Treaty, Union purports to offer member states a mutual defense guarantee to the one enjoyed by NATO allies, but to be completely honest, Article 42.7 and Article 5 of the NATO Treaty are not even remotely similar at all. But the Union can't defend its external borders without NATO. That dilemma has been a theoretical one. So recently, Finland joined NATO. Sweden's accession protocols are being slowed down by Turkey and Hungary. But it's looking like Turkey is moving to ratify the Swedish accession protocols to NATO within the next couple weeks or months. So all eyes are now on not on Turkey, but on Hungary to figure out what to do. The European Union has an issue, especially with Ukraine. Obviously, they're in a major war. How do you integrate Ukraine into the European Union? How do you rebuild Ukraine after the war? First of all, the war would have to come to an end, whether that's a Ukrainian victory, that's a Russian victory, whether that's a negotiated settlement. There's so many questions around Ukraine. There's also many questions about the Western Balkans, Serbia, Kosovo, and then how do you integrate all of these new member countries? So far you have 27 members, but soon the EU can maybe get up to 30 or even more. So EU expansion looking very, very likely, but obviously very, very complicated. So that is the end of the video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Deuces.